Oh, that's...
Now, Queen Marika the Eternal is nowhere to be found. And in the night of the Black Knives, Godwyn the Golden was first to perish.
I know that I don't talk at all in my Elden Ring videos, but I'm making an exception here because this piece of lore is fascinating. It's almost impossible to notice, but it's all over in plain sight for us to see, and it holds serious implications for the future of the Lands Between. So, the lands are overlooked by a group of outer gods. Yes, that's gods, plural. There's more than one, each with their own distinctions, but the Greater Will is the most prominent and well-known. Its mark is the Erdtree, which looms over all of the Lands Between as a creation of the Greater Will to govern everything under it. Among its properties is the ability to give new life to those who quote-unquote die. This explains why we are able to continue resurrecting when we die to complete bullshit. This is also why there are catacombs strewn throughout the land, connected to the roots of the Erdtree. Those who die are absorbed into the roots to rejoin the Erdtree in order to be reborn again, giving a sort of eternal life to all who are under the grace of the Erdtree. Along with this tree, we had Queen Marika, who acted as a sort of vessel for the Greater Will's order. Through Marika, many demigods were born. Godwyn the Golden was the firstborn. When ancient dragons staged an attack on the capital of Leyndell, home of the Erdtree, Godwyn fought them off, defeating Lich Dragon Fortisax in battle before choosing to spare his life, offering to make friends with Fortisax instead, forging a strong relationship between the Golden Order and the dragons. The Lands Between is full of many clues and evidence of these stories, but it's also home to many, many dark secrets, even right here in the depths of Stormveil.
I'm looking for a little something here in the castle.
One fateful night, before the Elden Ring was shattered by Queen Marika, a plan was enacted that would lead to the death of 2 demigods. A fragment of the rune governing death was stolen from Marika's shadow, Malekith the Black Blade. This fragment of the rune, which in its entirety is a circle shape, was inscribed in the knives of the Black Knife assassins, who used their new power of destined death to carve the god-killing rune into their first victim. Godwyn the Golden was the first of the demigods to die. Almost simultaneously, Ranni was having the same shape carved into her flesh as well. But the runes were incomplete. Both Ranni and Godwyn only received a half circle. This resulted in only Ranni's body perishing, freeing her soul to inhabit a new vessel. Meanwhile, Godwyn suffered a much crueler fate. Godwyn's soul was slain, leaving his body behind, alive and empty. The ramifications for this being far more severe than anyone could imagine. Without his soul to keep his body in check, it began to act on its own. After the event that slew Godwyn's soul, he was buried in the roots of the Erdtree directly below the capital city of Leyndell to rejoin the tree. This was a grave mistake, since Godwyn had no soul to return to the Erdtree, and his body still lived in a state of death. This gave birth to an entirely new existence, those who live in death, animated skeletons who have no soul or guidance of their own, a perversion of the Erdtree's very cycle of life. This brought about the existence of the Tibia Mariners as well, who exist to summon and give guidance to the undead, and drop Deathroot when they're defeated. This Deathroot being a piece of Godwyn's influence as the new Prince of Death. Being buried in the Erdtree, Godwyn's influence has begun to spread through the lands like a weed or a virus. This very castle is strewn with thorns jutting out from this face in front of us. Godwyn's face. He's not here, yet at the same time, he is. He's everywhere. Every catacomb. Everywhere we encounter a Tibia Mariner, and wherever Deathroot can be found. These places are touched by death, and it's why we see skeletons who live in death. In the very catacombs where the dead are to be buried to rejoin the Erdtree, not live undead. The most chilling thing about all this, and why I made this video in the first place, is the fact that we can actually see Godwyn. Not his face here. I mean in the catacombs, and where the Tibia Mariners are. We can see Godwyn watching us. His eyes are all over these roots, spreading more and more through the Lands Between. Why was there an Ulcerated Tree Spirit guarding Godwyn's face under Stormveil? Why was there one in front of the dead miner Erdtree on Mount Gilmere? Why can they be found in some catacombs at the roots of the Erdtree? The Erdtree is supposed to be eternal, and yet it's starting to produce golden seeds, which are dropped by these corrupted tree spirits that can be found by dead minor Erdtrees and places where Godwyn has influence. What does this mean? It means Godwyn is far from dead. He has far more presence in this land than anyone else. He has a literal stranglehold on the world, even on the mighty Erdtree itself. He has tainted those who are meant to be reborn from the Erdtree, forcing them to live in death. He choked the immortality out of the Erdtree itself. He's casting Deathblade on the world, permanently afflicting those who pry too close. Like Rajier, who's forever crippled by the effects of the curse, even after being resurrected by the Erdtree's power. And Godwyn is still watching us, everywhere, as he spreads out more, further and further, now as the Prince of Death. Perhaps, as I approach the capital, even more of his sinister influence can be seen. Only the future will tell. All I know is that there are forces that are trying to stop this spread. Currently, I'm employed in the service of Geraint, the Beast Clergyman, to gather this death root that I find in the catacombs and with the mariners and defeat it to him, so we could consume it and try to rid the world of it. But who knows how successful that'll actually be.